Welcome to Mika Amcha Yisrael. In Parashat Matot, Moshe said to the children of Gad and Reuven, "Should your brothers go out to war while you settle here?" It is well known that taxi drivers like to engage in conversations with their passengers, and in Israel, they've elevated this. It's a gift and a new art form. It is recounted that a secular taxi driver was once driving the Heilige Aponovich Mashgiach Rabbi Chasko Levenstein, Zatzal, to an appointment, and he shared an astonishing story with him about his friend who was almost squeezed to death by a jungle snake. "Believe me, Rabbi," said the driver, "we tried to extricate the snake. He wouldn't budge. My friend was turning blue and on the verge of death when somebody shouted, 'Yigal, say Shema Yisrael, you're gonna die!' Yigal screamed out the words, and incredibly, as soon as he finished, the snake released him and slithered away." The cabbie smiled. "Today, my friend, he is a religious Jew because of that incident. He, his wife, and his children, they're all Shomer Shabbat." Rabbi Chatzko eyed the cabbie, knew, "And what about you? Are you religious also?" "Oh, no. No," said the driver. "It didn't happen to me. It only happened to him." Every Jew is responsible for his fellow. What happens to one affects us all. This was what Moshe Rabbeinu simply could not comprehend about the request of Bnei Reuven and Bnei Gad not to enter Eretz Yisrael, but to settle on the other side of the Jordan with their sheep. Your brothers are going to fight and possibly perish in order to conquer the land, and you're going to stay here and not assist them? This is what the Meragalim attempted, and look at the calamity they caused. As the Brenner School in Petach Tikva prepared for their annual excursion, the children buzzed with excitement, busy buying snacks and packing their backpacks. One mother entrusted her daughter Rifka with 20 shekel to purchase treats for their journey. However, upon arriving at the grocery store, Rifka encountered a distraught young girl weeping. She approached her, and the young girl explained that her mother had also given her 20 shekel to buy essential groceries, 2 bags of milk, 2 loaves of bread. But in a moment of carelessness, she had lost the money while playing with it on the way, and with 8 siblings depending on her, she was devastated. Moved by the girl's plight, Rifka selflessly offered her own 20 shekels, saying, "Take this, buy the food for your family. I'll find a way to manage." Rifka then realized she faced a new predicament. She had no funds to buy snacks for her own trip. Interesting. Unwilling to reveal the truth to her mother, she tracked and racked her brains for a solution, and suddenly an idea struck her. She gathered old newspapers behind the grocery store, she crumpled them up, and then she filled them inside her backpack. And the next morning, her mother offered to make her a sandwich. But Rifka nervously declined, hoping to avoid her mother's suspicion. However, her mother insisted, and upon opening the backpack, she was astonished to find it filled with crumpled newspapers. Her anger erupted. "What did you do with the money that I gave you?" Her frustration boiled over, and she slapped Rifka across the face. After removing the newspapers and replacing them with the sandwich, she sent her daughter off. On the way to the bus, she said, "We'll discuss this when you return." Rifka departed for the bus, her tears and anguish evident as she arrived significantly late, in her distress upon discovering that the bus had already departed without her. "My mother is already furious with me," she thought. "I can't face her now." And seeking solace, she wandered to the nearby park, lost in her sorrow. Meanwhile, her mother, who worked part-time at a sewing workshop, was consumed by devastating news. A train had collided with a bus carrying students from Brenner Middle School on their annual trip, resulting in a horrific tragedy. The bus, which lacked the protection of a traffic light or a barrier, was struck at high speed, claiming the lives of 19 students. A teacher, the bus driver, and a chaperoning mother, and 16 others were injured. Rifka's mother was overcome with anguish and guilt, realizing too late that her harsh words might have been their last and final exchange. And frantic with worry, she contacted the hospital, inquiring if her daughter had been admitted, and the negative response only intensified her despair, leading her to fear the worst. Consumed by grief and remorse, She wept bitterly, tormented by the thought of parting with her daughter in anger. In the afternoon, Rifka returned home, ringing the doorbell with trepidation. When her mother opened the door, she was met with a sight that defied the darkest fears. Her daughter, presumed dead, stood before her alive and unscathed. Her mother's legs buckled beneath her as if the very foundations of her world had been restored. The family erupted into jubilation, and their joy so profound it seemed almost unreal. And as the tumult subsided, her mother asked her with her voice trembling, "How did you escape the accident?" Rifka, oblivious to the morning's tragedy, explained how her mother's stern words and slap had led her to miss the bus, and instead she spent the day in the park waiting for her mother's anger to subside. It was then revealed that 4 students had fortuitously missed the ill-fated trip, including Rifka. The magnitude of this miracle was a testament to the incredible power of chesed. As our Chachamim teach us, like we spoke 2 weeks ago, Tzedakah tatzil mimavet, the Almighty had witnessed this girl's selfless act, her 20 shekel given to a stranger in need. Folks, that's $5. In a majestic display of divine reciprocity, her life was spared. A poignant reminder that Borei Olam rewards kindness with kindness, measure for measure. Ladies and gentlemen, as the whispers of Rifka's stories fade into the echoes of Parashat Matot, we're left with a haunting truth. The boundaries between life and death, fate and destiny, are often blurred by the simplest acts of kindness. And in a world where the merit of one can save the lives of many, we're reminded that our individual choices, they're not mere ripples on the surface of the existence, but they're seismic waves that reshape the very fabric of reality. May we, like Rifka, find the courage to weave our own threads of kindness into the tapestry of humanity, and may our collective narrative be one of compassion, of responsibility, and the unending belief that even in the darkest moments, like now, the power of chesed can redeem us all. Shabbat shalom and mivorach.